But later on, I figure out, I knew I was on a plane with J. Allen Hynek. So I would like to know how all these different groups fit, because later, I had above the President of the United States, which seems like he would like to know that there's beings that work in intelligence that have higher clearances, because I was told it was for, what did they call that? Darn it, I wrote about that years ago. I've forgotten, folks, more than I can remember. A plausible deniability. This is way before Trump got in. I believe that anybody that goes into that position's got to have their head examined or needs their head examined, because there's so much power, but you don't have the power you think you do. It's strictly a political position to keep people, what's anything? I won't go into that. But anyway, security clearances, they put a lot of people, and think about it, study organizations, entrepreneurs, and corporate, and how they pick corporate heads for marketing promotional periods. They don't necessarily know how to run the money. But, security clearances is given to those they trust, and there's reasons. The big one back in the day when I was going through was you didn't do drugs. Fortunately, I didn't do drugs, and that's why they use a lot of Mormons, Latter-day Saints, because they're trained in their religious background not to do anything to harm their body, not even coffee and chocolate. But I had to go off of that to be sealed in the temple. So I do know some of the Mormons or the Latter-day Saints or those of Joseph Smith, they were chosen to work inside the government. FBI was very hard to get in. You needed really basically a law degree, but high level. But I got to go in and out of FBI offices and work with whoever special agent in charge. So the FBI and me were always involved. I talked to one of the attorneys I worked for in Houston, and I don't even know that he knew that, but he should have, because he talked to James Posey, Investigative Services in Birmingham, Alabama, and hired him because I had assured confidential investigative reports. And anyway, all this was all before I ever went to the government. So apparently, they, whether they knew or not, they had some reports of me dying, and the Catholic Church wanted me to know more about me years and years ago because of my level of extraterrestrials. This is way before I got my clearance. Now, apparently, they didn't pull all that in when they were giving me. I had secret, and then working in personnel information security, I had to learn how you got your clearances, from national agency entrance to national agency check to confidential to secrets, top secret to crypto to above top secret, which we have compartmentalizations. And I don't even know what it is today. I haven't worked in that business for years, so I'm just talking basic anybody can know. But I don't remember anything about the Air Force Base and the Q clearance. But and I still it had something to do with nuclear, I know that. And then my above top secret had to do with royalty, and I've told you about Royal 14. And there was an argument with the Army and some people in Chattanooga when the CIA came to visit. And CIA people taught about my husband and his cases out of country to teach those levels. And that's Tom, what Janet was asking me about how I met Tom. But I met Tom driving a truck. It was in Dallas where Karen is. So there's a reason I met him. They couldn't keep up with him, but it was one level of the Pentagon, and a man from the Pentagon offered me a position at Fort Hood, and they kept me overnight, and I had to sleep, and I don't know, I guess they programmed me somewhat. I don't know how that works. But I do know that when I was in at Langley, it was called Langley, but it was outside in Tyson's Corners, and that's where they had me do my retina scan, polygraph, write stories, talk to psychiatrists, get everything down so they knew I could write. For some reason, that was important, what I'm doing now. But I don't know if the CIA has any clue that the men in black are the same or extraterrestrials. Now, I was told that some of them had to do with the nuclear people. All right, my time's up for right now. So. Okay, Janet, your time.
Okay, bookmark where you are. Okay, hold on. Getting this set. Don't we go to Karen now? Or no, that was Karen.
Yeah.
Is it me now? That's me. Okay.
Oh, wait. No, it's you now.
Okay.
You now.
I'm getting confused.
You and then Karen
me
and me
okay.
and then you.
So,
Karen and me.
Okay. So when I was on Johnson Atoll, I'm going back to my story. We're going back around the story because there's a connection here. There's a tie to all of us. All three of us are so connected.
I hate to have to write this book.
And we have our individual lives.
We are.
Yeah, well, we will. This is getting written. So, what I've been piecing together now, and I talk to my husband every day, and I'm having these downloads on a nightly basis, and apparently to cut to the end of the story, but in stories, all good stories have backflashes, right? So it's not sequential. Life and existence is always going back and forth, and remembering and forgetting. And so what I remembered was I was on this military base, and I had my cover story job, which was data entry, and then I got moved to the library. But when I was in the library, I was like Preston Nickell, and I would be there alone for hours. Not a single person would ever come see me or come into this library. This library was a front. Nobody came into the library. I was there all alone. But I realized in reflection and recovering of memories is that I was in the underground installation, and I was working there on an ongoing basis. But at the end of this whole thing, there was like a graduation, and there was all kinds of things going on that I don't remember, and I really need a good hypnotherapist, and I should get my husband, but sometimes it's better to work with somebody that isn't your husband, because they were preparing me for this ritual with a bunch of extraterrestrials, and then I was shown the dragon at the end of time, which is all going to be part of my book. The importance of this is that I opened a Stargate, a portal, and TJ talks about opening the Stargate, the portal, and sending a signal through, and it takes time to send it and come in and bring it back. Well, this Stargate that is underneath Johnson Atoll is like the halls of Amenti that were described by Thoth, Nagashita, and TJ has a remembrance of the incarnation as Thoth, Nagashita, and I have some remembrances of being Nimma. And so what does it mean to be or to have an incarnation? And at the highest level of existence, we all are one, and we're one person who subparses our lives into segments, but it's one life and we have segments of. So I think we have access to the totality of each and every one of us, individually and collectively. And as we're going through life and we have things that have significance or relevance to a previous life, like a power figure, like an archetype, like Nimma, who was the mother creator god, like Enki, who's the father god, and Enlil, and all the Anunnaki, and even above that level, we reach the archetypal level, and the archetypal level comes through us, and we remember as if we were they, and we are able to access the information. So I was down at this ritual, which was a graduation, and it was the day that the portal was going to open, and I had to stand in the right place. I was dressed in a gown from Henry VIII time, and everybody around me was dressed. It was like eyes wide shut, but everybody had individual gowns and costumes that were just right out of a Hollywood movie. And as I stood in this beam of light that made a circle on the floor and in the interior of the earth and the halls of Amenti, this tall obsidian wall dissolved, and we were able to see the dragon, which is the mother dragon. And it's a giant race. You know, we have stories of giants, and there were humans that were 30, 40 feet tall, but there were also giant dragons that were just like Smaug in The Lord of the Rings, and the memory of that came through J.R.R. Tolkien, and he told a tale which we told in Hollywood. So everything goes round and round in circles, and you think it's not me, and then it is me, and it's the story of them and the story of us, but it's the human story. And we all have pieces of it that we access, and it's important for us to tell our tale. End of my time. Karen.
Yes, I think that's
Your turn.
true. Let me see. Okay,
Stopping. Starting.
Oh, that's perfect. Perfect sound for what we're doing.
Okay. Go for it.
I think we all have these lives, these existences, and I think that we're all being communicated with. There are people who tend to avoid it, and apparently there are more that avoid it than don't, for the way they were raised, where they came in, what they decided to do, to keep the cozy pillow. Well, the pillow's not very cozy anymore. And then things start to happen, and the higher masters, the angels, the other races that are not from this planet are stepping in to assist these people to start to desire, to seek within their life, to seek what's beyond here, to seek what it's like, and then they can ask questions, and then they can go forward. It's actually a beautiful time to raise the spiritual part of self and to really be close to God, the source, the force, whatever word, because these are the times that you get your answers on those levels. And things start to come in an invisible thought. It doesn't manifest in the heavy 3D that we're looking at the walls right now or whatever. It is within, and it is a feeling, and it can manifest, and they're trying to make contact to make it easier, because if our frequency as a mass is lifted high enough, all this stuff that's going on out there is going to be healed, and it's going to go away. So we're in a testing form, and that's my belief, and that's what I've been told when I've gone into a meditative state of altered consciousness. And those are the pictures I receive, because I receive pictures, and like whenever I have a student, I am able to read their vibration as we talk, the energy and the sound, and then I take that information and I go into my recording studio and I make the MP3 that they're needed in order to help their consciousness and their mind, the brain, to ascend to that level and to increase their visual ability and their trust in themselves. That's the biggest one, is being able to trust in your own ability of the I am consciousness power. And if everybody would work toward that, the love would happen. People need to be nice to each other. People need to applaud each other, especially in these fields that we're all in. We need to support each other. If we could all support each other like what we're doing, and even go beyond that, then we could reach people more. But all of this ability, there's still a lot of frustration, and many people work this COVID fear in many different ways, in fear of losing their job, fear of what they're going to do, fear of, not being able to get into the doctor, fear of everything. I mean, all of the outlets that people could go to get better have been blocked for a reason, and that's what I believe that. So it's people who have been connected by the dots like us and others and all the people that we know that are out there. We have a mission. We have an assignment that we are here to do, not for ego, not to be number one or this or that, but to really help awaken, to say we have a beautiful planet, and probably the most beautiful one in the Milky Way. But it's up to us now to go forward, and it's up to, because when you teach this or you do any hypnosis, like, probably Sasha understands this, and you too, because both of you all really do this. You know how when you reach somebody, you're trying to say words, Well, there are no words, so you have to use the tone of the words and then transport the picture